According to a court affidavit filed in the case, the victim had suffered blunt force trauma to the head. He had been stabbed, and his right thumb had been severed. The following cases will leave you questioning how far some are willing to go in the name of deception and greed. Let's begin with the first case, where betrayal and manipulation took deadly turns. Number 1. The disturbing case of Facile Teclamariam. In early April 2024, 53-year-old Facile Teclamariam was brutally murdered in his Washington, D.C. apartment. When the Metropolitan Police responded to a report of a stabbing, they discovered Facile's body with multiple injuries, including a missing right thumb. As more details came to light, it was revealed that Tiffany Gray, a 22-year-old woman who had once benefited from Facile's generosity, and her accomplice were behind the horrific crime. They had exploited his trust in a calculated plan driven by financial gain. Facile was well known in his community for his calm demeanor and generous spirit. He had earned a reputation for being kind-hearted, always ready to lend a helping hand to those in need. His generosity extended beyond his immediate circle, and one person who particularly benefited from his giving nature was Tiffany Gray. At just 22 years old, Tiffany was known to many as Facile's sugar baby. He frequently spent money on her and showered her with gifts, forming a relationship built on financial support and companionship. Tiffany enjoyed the luxuries that Facile provided, and their relationship was no secret among those close to them. Despite the significant age difference, Facile seemed content with his role, always eager to fulfill Tiffany's needs and desires. Though their arrangement was unconventional, there appeared to be no signs of conflict or tension between the two. Facile's life carried on peacefully. However, what many didn't realize was that beneath the surface of this seemingly smooth relationship, a deadly betrayal was brewing. Things were about to take a darker turn. In early April 2024, Facile Teclamariam's life took an unexpected and tragic twist, shattering the peaceful existence he had worked so hard to maintain. What began as an ordinary day quickly spiraled into a nightmare, a series of events that would forever change the course of his life. The tranquility Facile was known for evaporated, replaced by confusion, fear, and an overwhelming sense that something was terribly wrong. As the day progressed, it became clear that Facile's world was unraveling. On April 5, 2024, the Metropolitan Police Department responded to a chilling report of a stabbing in Washington, D.C., a report that would reveal the horrifying truth behind Facile's untimely death. Upon entering Facile Teclamariam's apartment, officers were met with a harrowing scene. Facile lay lifeless in his bedroom, the victim of a brutal assault. His body bore multiple traumatic injuries, with the most disturbing detail being his missing right thumb, a key piece of evidence that would later unravel the mystery surrounding his death. The autopsy revealed the full extent of the violence he endured, including severe blunt force fractures to his skull, numerous lacerations, and a stab wound. The additional cuts on his legs and the gruesome amputation of his right thumb painted a horrifying picture of the events leading to his demise. As investigators meticulously combed through the crime scene, they found evidence suggesting that attempts had been made to clean and sanitize the area, a clear sign that someone had tried to cover up their tracks. Yet, despite these efforts, crucial clues remained, including distinctive footprints that could potentially lead them to the perpetrator or perpetrators. The chaotic nature of the scene indicated a violent struggle, prompting detectives to reconstruct the timeline of events that culminated in Facile's tragic death. Every detail, no matter how small, became vital in piecing together the story of that fateful night. Security footage from the lobby of Facile's apartment building soon emerged as a critical piece of evidence. The recordings captured two individuals present in the building on the night of the incident, just hours before Fassel's body was discovered. Among them were Tiffany Gray and her accomplice, 19-year-old Audrey Miller. The two were seen entering the building on April 3rd at around 2 a.m., carrying bags and boxes, and later leaving with various items belonging to Fassel. Their actions suggested a sinister motive: premeditated theft. The surveillance footage depicted masked figures wearing hooded sweatshirts, their faces hidden as they made off with Fasil's possessions. This alarming behavior led detectives to delve deeper into the backgrounds of Tiffany and Audrey, revealing a troubling narrative that contradicted the image of a straightforward arrangement between Fasil and Tiffany. Investigators soon uncovered that Tiffany and Audrey had exploited Fasil's trust in a cruel and calculated plan. In a shocking twist, they had even used Fasil's severed thumb to gain access to his financial accounts, draining funds for personal indulgences, such as Uber rides, marijuana, and alcohol. This chilling act of betrayal underscored just how far they were willing to go to benefit from Fasil's generosity. On June 21, 2024, law enforcement made a significant breakthrough in the investigation with the arrest of Audrey Miller. She was charged with first-degree murder and armed felony murder, now facing serious legal consequences as she remains in custody awaiting a preliminary hearing. The severity of the charges reflected the brutal and violent nature of the crime that led to Fasil's tragic death. Just weeks later, on July 1st, authorities apprehended Tiffany Gray in Prince George's County, issuing a warrant for her arrest. She, too, was charged with first-degree murder and armed felony murder. The swift action by law enforcement demonstrated their dedication to ensuring that those responsible for Fasil's murder would face justice. As investigators pieced together the case, it became clear that the motives behind the crime were a disturbing blend of financial greed and personal vendetta. This unsettling combination suggested a level of premeditation that painted a chilling picture of the relationships between Fassel and his attackers. Tiffany's arrest marked a crucial moment in the investigation, and once extradited to Washington, D.C., she will face serious charges with potentially severe penalties. The decision to pursue first-degree murder charges against both women indicated that authorities believed their actions were meticulously planned, viewing Fasil not just as a companion, but as a target for their ruthless schemes. Number 2. The tragic story of Shaquilis Townsend is a heart-wrenching account of a young boy who was tragically betrayed by someone he thought loved him. Shaquilis Townsend, a 16-year-old from the United Kingdom, was known by his friends and family as kind-hearted and caring. He was fiercely loyal and deeply affectionate toward those close to him. Like many teenagers, Shaquilis dreamed of love and believed he had found it when he met Samantha Joseph. Though their relationship was only a month old, Shaquilis quickly became infatuated with her. He was so taken by Samantha that he openly told his mother that he wanted to marry her one day. Despite his pure and trusting nature, Shaquilis's feelings for Samantha were tragically one-sided. While he was giving his heart to her, Samantha had other intentions. Behind Shaquilis's back, she remained fixated on her older boyfriend, Danny McClain. Although Samantha accepted Shaquilis's attention and gifts, her heart belonged to Danny. She used Shaquilis's affection, manipulating his emotions for her own benefit while keeping her true intentions hidden. She even admitted to friends that she didn't care for Shaquilis and only viewed him as a tool to be used. Despite Samantha's manipulations, Shaquilis was completely unaware of her deceit. He was smitten, completely oblivious to the dangerous game Samantha was playing between him and Danny. His affection for her blinded him to the warning signs, and he continued to shower her with love, hoping she would one day feel the same way. Shaquilas's desire to believe in the relationship he had created in his mind made him ignore the reality of Samantha's betrayal. Danny McClain, a prominent member of the violent SMN gang, ended his relationship with Samantha after discovering that she had been seeing Shaquilas. Despite their breakup, Samantha remained obsessed with Danny and was willing to do anything to win him back, even if it meant betraying Shaquilas. Danny, fully aware of Samantha's desperation, exploited her feelings, telling her that if she wanted to regain his affection, she had to set up Shaquilas for his downfall. Samantha, eager to please Danny, agreed to the plan without hesitation, sealing Shaquilas's fate. On Thursday, July 3, 2008, the tragic events that would change Shaquilas's life forever unfolded. He had no idea that Samantha had devised a plan with Danny, a plan that would lead to his brutal betrayal and death. CCTV footage from that day captured Samantha meeting Shaquilas, dressed in a floral dress that masked her true intentions. To anyone watching, they seemed like a typical young couple, laughing and enjoying each other's company. Shaquilas, in his innocence, believed they were heading to meet Samantha's cousin, unaware of the deadly trap being set for him. Throughout their journey, Samantha secretly communicated with Danny, updating him and coordinating the ambush. Shaquilas, completely trusting of Samantha, followed her to a secluded cul-de-sac, a perfect spot for what was about to unfold. Samantha continued to play the role of a loving girlfriend, hiding her betrayal until the very last moment. As they reached the location, Shaquilas was ambushed by Danny and 5 members of the SMN gang. The attack was swift and brutal. Armed with baseball bats and knives, the gang showed no mercy. Shaquilas was beaten savagely, and amidst the chaos, he was stabbed repeatedly. The betrayal was complete. Shaquilas had walked into a trap set by the very person he loved. Samantha had delivered him to his attackers. Shaquilas was stabbed 6 times, leaving him gravely wounded. As he lay bleeding on the ground, the gravity of his betrayal and his impending death began to sink in. In his final moments, Shaquilas, still just a 16-year-old boy, cried out for his mother. His last words, filled with fear and desperation, were, "I don't want to die." His voice echoed through the empty streets, a heartbreaking plea that no one was there to answer. As Shaquilas Townsend lay helpless and alone in the street, his cries for his mother echoed, a desperate plea for the one person who had always protected him. After the brutal attack, Samantha Joseph's coldness became even more apparent. While Shaquilas lay dying, she showed no remorse or guilt for the betrayal she had orchestrated. Instead, CCTV footage captured Samantha walking away from the scene alongside Danny McClain as if nothing had happened. She carried Danny's blood-stained hoodie in her cream-colored handbag, a chilling reminder of the savage violence that had just unfolded. Although Danny sustained a minor injury during the attack, Samantha remained focused on him, acting as though the life they had just taken meant nothing. Shaquilas Townsend succumbed to his injuries on July 4, 2008, a day after the attack. Despite being rushed to the hospital, the severity of his wounds was too much for the 16-year-old to survive. His death marked the tragic end of a young life full of love, dreams, and hope for a future that was cruelly stolen from him. The community mourned the loss of a boy who had been betrayed by those he trusted, and a victim of the senseless violence rooted in gang culture. In the months that followed, justice was served for Shaquilas. Samantha Joseph, Danny McClain, and 5 other members of the SMN gang, including Andre Thompson and the Ellis brothers, were found guilty of murder. Their participation in the premeditated ambush and savage attack on Shaquilas led to heavy sentences. Danny, who had orchestrated the entire plan, was sentenced to a minimum of 15 years in prison for his role as the leader of the gang. His cold and calculating nature was evident in the way he manipulated Samantha and orchestrated the brutal attack. Several other gang members also received lengthy prison sentences for their involvement. Andre Johnson Haynes, a former public school boy and promising rugby player for the London Irish, was sentenced to a minimum of 12 years in prison. Brothers Tyrell Ellis and Don Carlos Ellis, along with Michael Kimfenwa, also received 12-year sentences for their roles in the attack. The sentencing of these young men from different walks of life revealed the deep infiltration of gang violence into their lives, leading them to commit heinous acts that destroyed not only their futures but also the life of an innocent boy. Samantha Joseph, who had lured Shakilis into the ambush, was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Despite her young age, her willingness to go to deadly lengths to gain Danny's approval showed the depths of her betrayal. She was freed in 2019 after serving her sentence and deported to her native country of Trinidad. Her release left many, including Shakilis's mother, questioning whether justice had truly been served. For Shakilis's mother, the pain of knowing her son's killer had been released after just a decade remained a deep source of grief. Andre Thompson, another key member of the gang, was sentenced to a minimum of 14 years, though his term was later reduced to 13 years and 3 months. His involvement, like the others, highlighted the devastating consequences of gang loyalty and violence. While justice had been served in a legal sense, the sentences could never repair the damage done to Shakilis's family. For them, the pain of his loss and the betrayal that led to his death remained a constant reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded on July 3, 2008. Number 3. In the early hours of February 27, 2022, the tragic murder of 33-year-old Saul Murray shocked the community of Luton, United Kingdom. A father of 6, Saul was found dead in his flat with multiple stab wounds, marking the violent end of a deadly honey trap scheme orchestrated by 2 women. Saul Murray, known for his vibrant personality and a life shared online, had an affinity for fashion and often showcased his lifestyle on social media. His posts, particularly those featuring his Rolex watches, caught the attention of 2 women, Surpreet Dillon, 36, and her 21-year-old accomplice, Temidayo Awe. Drawn to the allure of his wealth, they devised a plan to exploit him. What started as flirtatious exchanges online quickly escalated into an elaborate trap. On the night of February 26, 2022, Saul invited the women to his home in Luton. They spent the evening drinking, chatting, and engaging in what seemed like a fun encounter. However, the women had a sinister plan in mind. At some point, Dillon slipped GHB, a date rape drug, into Saul's drink in an attempt to incapacitate him so they could rob him. The dosage, however, wasn't enough to fully render Saul unconscious, forcing Edo to leave the flat and call for reinforcements. Approximately 20 minutes later, 2 men entered the flat. CCTV footage captured their arrival, with one man visibly carrying a knife. Moments after, the 2 women were seen hurriedly leaving the premises. What had begun as a seemingly light-hearted night turned into a deadly confrontation. Saul Murray was later found lifeless in his flat, having bled to death from a stab wound that had pierced a vital artery. The subsequent investigation uncovered the nefarious nature of the plot. Forensic tests confirmed the presence of GHB in Saul's system and linked both women to sexual activity with him prior to his death. Police arrested Dillon and Edo, both of whom denied any knowledge of the 2 men who had entered the apartment. Their refusal to cooperate with the investigation only deepened suspicions. Using GPS tracking, investigators identified 29-year-old Cleon Brown as one of the men involved. Another key suspect, 31-year-old Akeem Afia, was identified by a distinctive designer coat he had been seen wearing at a local takeaway shop days before the murder. The investigation revealed that Afia and Brown had been accomplices in the scheme, with Afia playing a central role in Saul's murder. He was later convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 25 years. Cleon Brown received an 11-year sentence for his involvement, as his role, though less direct, was instrumental in the conspiracy. Temidayo Awe was convicted of manslaughter and conspiracy to commit robbery, receiving a 7-year sentence for manslaughter and an additional 6 years for conspiracy to run concurrently. Surpreet Dillon received a similar sentence, 10 years for manslaughter and another 10 years for conspiracy to commit robbery, also running concurrently. While both women were central to the events that led to Saul's death, they were ultimately found not guilty of murder, reflecting the complexities of their involvement. The case of Saul Murray's murder stands as a harrowing reminder of the dangers that can arise from trust and the exploitation of vulnerability. For his family and community, the loss of Saul, a man known for his zest for life, left a lasting impact as they struggled to come to terms with the senseless violence that claimed his life. What are your thoughts on this tragic case? Let us know in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss any upcoming episodes. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll see you on another episode of Town Hill Crimes.